Okay.
Yeah. 다양한 동봉에서 자마드에 류단 심 이가 돼서 혈로차비 체도 그래서 운종을 가시리나 사모님도 고민이다.
Okay, so before we start, let's relax our body and our mind with 2 minutes of breath meditation.
No less. That don't put the number to Samala. Any Gomo and some detail dele. Gomo.
So first of all, welcome everyone and a good afternoon.
Yeah. That
And good morning also for the people at home. Good morning. Good morning.
No. No.
Bom dia, buenos dias.
아니 담보가서 예 양은 지금 잠색 걸려 디시 디디시가 주어데 들이 견아서 아니 디와 가려 보이나 어떻게 담보만 하는 디시 디디치 아까서 도도 디시 대시죠.
What I thought on doing today is I'm gonna do a very brief resume on what means love and compassion. Okay, so I'm gonna say a few words about this, and then today what I thought is mainly to do questions and answers. And so whatever question you have, please do it today.
가데네 가서 단다 값법이 저자수도 가르치는 잠바다 세와서는 저기도 잠바다 니지 거때 다 가서니 가서 되걸려야지 강도치도 치니 그러되고래 잠바다 세와 저는 니지 잠바다 니지 거때.
So just like the name of the class is, and so we are talking about love and compassion, the loving kindness mind, and also compassion.
Yeah. 다 잠바다 집이 뭐도 가정시와 나시리 잠바가 뭐 가르지가 샘제 간디지 임바 있나요? 될래야 지금 대화 용어쇼 삼아두지. 아니 니지 뭐도 가르지가 다 샘제 간디지 임바 있나 될래야 등을 마용어쇼 등을 다들 저터가지 쇼 삼. 어디니 지금 삼로다나 잠바다 니지.
And so what is the essence or the nature of these two minds? So the nature of the mind of loving kindness, hello, welcome. The nature of the loving kindness mind is that aspiration, that wish on seeing everyone, all sentient beings, be completely fulfilled on happiness. And also, what is the nature of the mind of compassion? Hello, welcome. Hello. And the nature or the essence of the mind of compassion is that aspiration of wish, hello, on seeing everyone in the sense of all sentient beings as being completely free of suffering.
Oh yeah.
You can also see it.
Anyone needs
You can also sit here. 1, 2 can sit here. It's good.
Yeah, there's space.
Better than staying near the toilet.
Oh yeah.
This is the toilet.
Now everyone knows. If someone needs to go.
Oh yeah. That didn't also 니지 뭐도 된대지 임바이나 다 니지가 무과들라 주가레스디가 다 셈젠데 잠바다 니지 니기 무발라 자고래.
And what is the object of visualization, or what is the object of purpose of love and compassion? Is all sentient beings. All sentient beings suppressed by suffering.
야. 다 임바이나야 니 잠바다 니제세야데 잠바 첨보 니제 첨보세야데 무바 지점 그 야 첨보라 어묵터바 어디 저거 잠바 첨보다 니제 첨보세야데 차게
And the difference between love and compassion and great love and great compassion is the not the amount, but how many sentient beings you visualize. If your wish is to spread this love and compassion towards everyone, then it's a great compassion and great love.
야. 다 가서 저는 지와지요래. 샘전 탐제 라무 서트 간디레 라바이나 아주 리스 마치비 샘전 라무나 다가랑 샘전 탐제 라무 리스 차바잖아 나 미참 야나 지 던도 야나 키 드니지나 리스 쳐바자들 드니 마저지 다지 서로와 데드 용이 참말로라 대화다 덴버쇼 등화다 데버쇼 삼로지 담바이나 샘전 탐제 라무 세야데 차고.
The previous days we received a question that for who we visualize. Do we visualize all sentient beings from the three realms or just human beings? No, it's all sentient beings from every kind of sentient beings. And so just like we say, visualize, take all sentient beings as being free of suffering or be pervaded by love. And so it's all sentient beings by all kinds.
Yeah. 마도 심지 탐제라 무바 있는 심지 레레레레니 소소 지금 뭐시 고야로다 심지 레레레레니 무바 라 레고야로 요마레스.
And also doesn't mean that when we visualize all sentient beings, just like Rika asked another day, means that we have to know each and every sentient being.
다 제상 변도지 샤나 알수 디디로지 아디리 변나 미 간디지 오나 변나 칼라도지 되어요이나 미 간디지 요나게 칼라티긴 제나 티 미몽볼라 무도 그러 마도 미레레레 다시다 돈도진 디레레 무고 마레 야 까깔레 가서 딘디 용고라 디니 로타 부고 수임바이나 네텔 칼라티긴 돌람나 고 리스 제니 고 디나니 로타 부고 강임바다 칼라티긴 돌람나 고 차버지 체노 그러바 데마임바제니 미 순레지 용바이나 칼라티긴 라바이나 리스 마치 바제
Swing.
미 순레지 바이나 칼라티긴 라나
So just like the day before, the last weekend that we answer her, when we take all sentient beings, we don't need to separate, or we don't need to differentiate between people or sentient beings that we are visualizing. So all sentient beings that we take as being able to receive all love and to be free of suffering doesn't mean that we have to know each and everyone. Just like if we are visualizing them, so visualizing all sentient beings to be free of suffering, we don't need to know who is that person. Just like I visualize all sentient beings, we don't need to know who is Peter, who is John, and so forth. All sentient beings. Or when we wish to give food to everyone, we don't need to know who are we giving food, right? Or just like if you are in the school, so let's take we're gonna to spread all our I don't know the things to the students in the school. We don't need to know each and every student, like everyone. We include everyone. We don't separate. Some we give things and some we don't give things.
Yeah. 나데네 가상아서 가르치 시오레제 가상아서 셈젤라미니 데 둥어다 드레버 쇼지비 둥어데 가서지 사야다 나야라 소비 딱 디군라 소비 둥어데 잠 가서 삼로다니 어디서다 드레버 쇼즈니 삼로다 담보 몰라디 로장거리 랍사이바 다 디리데제 딜리앙데제 야 둥어데제 야 토르다는 가서 어디니 가시지람나 둥어다 드레비 둥어.
For the mind of compassion, what is the mind of compassion? Is that aspiration that really wish to see everyone, all sentient beings, free of suffering. And before we also mentioned about free of suffering, which kind of suffering? So suffering of disease, suffering of aging, and so forth. This kind of suffering. And so if we really want to cultivate the mind of wishing every sentient being to be free of suffering, we have first to recognize which kind of suffering, how to know the suffering. And so before we already we already went through very in a surface way about the suffering, suffering. So today I'm gonna deep a little bit more about into suffering and how to cultivate this compassion mind.
Oh yeah. 다 배나 가로 졸래야 지금 강에 다 등을 다 뇨다 뭐 지초야 주도 가라 왕기 중고래 지금 맞어 눈트 장가 삼로 몸부질 때니 맞어 강에 등거래.
We have many problems. So we have many problems, and sometimes, like not nice situations we go through. And all of these problems that we go through, or that we feel like being problems and not nice situations, actually is due to a wrong way of thinking. How do we perceive in a mistaken way the things?
돈다 삼로 땅땅 노르와. 그봐. 삼로 땅땅 노르와. 어딘지 그 돈이 땅에 졸라 강에 다 뇨다.
So most of these problems that we experience as being problems is due to our mistaken way of thinking.
Yeah. 다 지금 딘디가 논트그 삼로대야 주 가라를 때니 거래스. 지금 우연에 땅 가리임바다 하마군 마신 어딜 때니 거래스.
Because actually we don't understand how actually things exist. So the situation that think how this exists, we misunderstand, and then due to this we perceive the situation wrongly.
Yeah. That in the songs 지금 등화다 드라이버 쇼 시비 등어대 아주 지금 뇨다다 강이 다 대다기 유 물론 트와 대다장 지금 술레이나야 론 트와의 뇨리도야다 아니 식총리도야 어딘디를 삼로 담바이나 양야고 지거레스.
So when we think like, oh, may all sentient beings be completely free of suffering and its causes, means may all sentient beings be completely free of problems and difficulties and all the causes from these problems and difficulties, which are there also misperception or wrong way of thinking.
Yeah. 단단하죠. 낭주나를 제바이나 둥어들에 가르레스 둥어기 둥어를 시팅하죠. 나야다 사야라 소비 딘디들이야 둥어 찍지. 데닌 규이 둥어를 시티 단이 지 자지가 서로와 대화도 소양 아직 봐봐봐. 그래서는 그 둥어기 기차로 요소는 규이 둥어를 다 등을 타셔도 가르치니까 차반지기 등을 해서 다 등을 타셔도 지대고.
In the Buddhist scriptures or the Buddhist psychological texts, so we have it's presented three kinds of suffering. So the suffering of suffering, I don't know if you already heard. So suffering of suffering, which means the superficial suffering that we already experience, like diseases and unpleasant feelings and so forth. That's the first one, suffering of suffering. The second one is suffering of change. What is suffering of change? Which kind of examples do we have? Like the polluted happiness, or the polluted and temporarily happiness, everything that we perceive as happy. Why? Because after they will change, and after they change, then they create the cause for our unpleasant sensations. That's the second kind of suffering of change. And the subtle suffering is the all-pervading suffering. That actually this is the proper suffering that we have to get rid of this.
Which one?
All-pervading suffering. All-pervading suffering.
Yeah. That
Chiapa do chegi do nye ki tsenshi kara swimbe.
no shame tanda. Yeah. That chaban ji dingor kan se korzola chi bogo chaban ji dingor sa zu garre se le da nyumo be hongi chumbe. Zaje nyever le be pombo sa de chaban ji dingor ko man zu sa garre se ngar zo su ji zaje nyever le be pombo. Ode chaban ji dingor sa chawi.
So following your questions, and so what means the subtle kind of suffering, the all-pervading suffering? We have one illustration that is the easiest and the most common illustration for this suffering. That is these five aggregates, this body, these five aggregates coming from karma and delusions. And so this all-pervaded, polluted body, suffering body that we have coming from, originated from karma and afflictions, this is an illustration of all-pervading suffering. If you think about this body, this polluted body that comes from karma and affliction, is upon this body that actually so many problems or most of our problems come. Why? Because this is painful. I'm cold. This body is hungry.
다 나서 쇼키니 공다 버다 나서 깔리 잡는 로데야 수지 니치데 로데
From morning to night time, every day, we struggle all our energy. We drive all our energy due to please this body. Yeah.
베나 단다 가르세디가 나서 도임나사
Just like in Corona.
나서 로니섬 줄 빼셔나식 침부치러 나서 니가 봉보 라바도 메와이나 나서 딘디기 셴나 주니 제고요.
For example, when we 2-3 years ago, right, the Corona, when we there was the COVID-19, so most of us we are very fearful, right? We are so fearful. Why? Because we're afraid of being sick. Why? Because we are afraid of this body be sick. So if we don't have this kind of polluted body, so we will not have this problem of Corona.
더 나중에 드리사니야 조고 나사지다 미기 나사지도 이나 가서 니 미기 나사 니 가서 니 미트메와이나 이 조고 샤 조고도메와이나 가서야 조고 나사도 미 나사도 짜고 요만다.
Just like these days, there is a new disease around here in Dharamsala. There is the stomach flu and something in the eyes. I don't know, one big eye, whatever. Yes, the big eye. So if you don't have eye, this eye, not normal eye, this polluted eye, or if we don't have this polluted stomach, polluted in the sense of coming from karmic afflictions, so we wouldn't suffer this kind of disease too.
Yes, I don't understand the difference between suffering and this one.
등을 세다 가서 다가랑 고나위 나사 다던도 조고 나위 나사 아니 칼라마로나 조고 도위 강이 아니 소소 당위 강이 어두서 상마데 등을.
The suffering of suffering is the one that we just said, that is all the diseases. And so, for example, the headache, and the hungry, and then the sensation of cold, all of these physical sensations and emotional sensations of disease, this is suffering of suffering. Or just like if you don't see properly, and also if we some of us we cannot see, or some of us we cannot hear nice sounds, or we cannot smell good pleasant smells, or we don't have taste, or we cannot use our body to feel proper sensations. So out of these kind of lack of sensations, some of us also we have this, like suffering or problem. So this problem is this sensation of this suffering sensation is another illustration of suffering of suffering. Also,
semba makipi 강이 다나 지금 소소고 조보다 카 트렌드 어디가나 이거 소소라 셈리야 초로 등물 어디서 참아도 등물 잘 쳐.
Another illustration for suffering of suffering in the mental and emotional level is when you're sad or anxious or stressed, or when you are depressed because you separate from the person who you like, and so forth. All of these sensations are illustrations of suffering of suffering.
단 유리 등물을 세디가라 고 마수질레 기위 까블이야 대와 아니위 까블라 대와 임바이나 고 갈래 주도 어디가나 등물 공고 차안도니 디니질이야 유리 등물을 세.
The second kind of suffering, the suffering of change, is that the illustration is in the beginning it seems to be like happiness, like it's something that is nice, pleasant, but because it will change and we attach to that nice sensation. So because it's changing, then our sensation also will change to unpleasant sensation, right? So that very example of in the beginning temporarily happiness, so is the illustration of suffering of suffering. No, suffering of change.
Change.
What do you like the most? Tell me something that you like. You like sleep or you like to eat? What is the most? Nikuya.
Gaudoa. Nikia Gawena, Tiri is on the channel, Zango Chile, Lolo, Jini, Nisho Lamnacho, 어상고 칠라 다다 니토
Okay.
요래.
So since the nicest thing that you like is to sleep, let's take this example. So from now until for 1 week, if you really sleep the whole time for 1 week, do you think it's going to be possible? And can you do it? No.
문도 담보 계란 니알 가고 요래.
So, but
이나요
first you like to sleep, right?
gonda 치 야나 gonda 니
Then one night, 2 nights, maybe it's going to be nice to sleep.
나 버리자.
But after maybe your body pains, and then you have this sensation of, okay, now it's done. Now I need to stand up, right?
그 제자 고
So this
갈래
is
so
slowly begin in pleasant sensation, which change into unpleasant sensation. So that's the reason that the happiness of sleeping is the illustration of suffering of change.
나가모 자갈라 아니 잘보치 요레스.
Before there was an Indian king.
이나 잘보디고 그때 미드 소촌이 내가 전에 하고 침게 몽보지 내가 하고 제로 치고 말했어. 미몽보지.
미망 랍기다.
미몽보지. 재미다. 그 잘보디고 미몽보 요러와. 디나니 미카시치고 팀이야 하고 미케 내가 하고 제로 치고 말했어.
So before there was one king here in India, and some of his helpers, or his helpers. So some of them, they were not, they didn't do a proper work, and not only that, they were sort of indisciplined helpers.
아니 니마치 미드소 잘보 그런 거. And
then the king, some of these not nice employees or helpers, he called them. And then the king was very nice with them. Tell me, what do you like the most? The king asked. And you, what do you like the most? What do you like? Please tell me. Whatever you like the most, please tell me. And some of them, they said, I really like to sleep. Some of them, they said, I really like to go for a walk. Some of them say, oh, I really love to eat. So they answered differently. And what the king said, oh, very nice. For example, so since you like to sleep the most, so from today, you don't need to work. You can just sleep. For 1 month, you just sleep. And for the other, so you like to go for a walk. So from today on, you don't need to come to work. For 1 month, wherever you go, you can go. And just like you, the person that loves to eat. So from now on, please, you don't need to work. You just keep eating. She said, And then just like the king said, and so they did exactly what the king said. And after some, for example, that liked to sleep, just for he could sleep just for a few nights. So for this reason, those things that usually we like the most, actually, if we keep doing just that activity, so it's gonna transform to an unpleasant activity. So that's the reason that we call suffering of change. So that's the reason that we say that the sensation, the pleasant sensation that we have when we see something nice, something beautiful, that we listen something pleasant, one sweet sound, or when we smell something pleasant and so forth, that sensation of happiness we call the suffering of change.
Again, to the person in the summer. Carres the Gala, Tanda Sachi, Sorwa Deva de Matsuina, Temala go do, send the joking Gonda, but it's a teacher, Kaleja, yes. That's
Geshe to Temple Sang, one of our Geshes here. So he usually said that sensation, that polluted sensation of happiness is that sensation that keep craving for, oh, this I want because I like this. I like the things that bring me happiness. So this I want. This also I want. Keep craving the things that bring us this pleasant sensation, polluted pleasant sensation.
야. 이마이나야 베나 산지 준데 니가 가르레스 디가나 딘디가 사치가 초와 대화데 나초고 대화레 나라 고운두세하고 대화데 산지 준데 니가 기르이 두마레스 대화 문이 지금 말해 대화 템보 지금 말해스 손샤레스.
But this pleasant sensation, this pleasant polluted sensation, Buddha Shakyamuni said, well, this very nice pleasant sensation calls suffering of change.
다 이마이나 나초 지도 노르데요레스.
But sometimes we do one mistake.
나초 손노리요레스나 나초가 대화레 라야데 산지 준데 대화 문이 말해 두마레 기르이 두마레 랍사디가 그 두마레스 야나는 나초 노르데고레 야나 산지 준데 노르데고레스.
But then we can ask, so who is wrong? We say that this polluted pleasant sensation is happiness, sort of temporary happiness is happiness. But Buddha Shakyamuni said that it's suffering. So who is wrong here? Then we have to check it. Then we have to check who was wrong. Who is wrong?
제가 어딘지 지레야다 돈단 기르이 동어로서 권이 잡을때 다 등물지 등어다가 빼는 무춘주지 양촌이 등물 그 등물의 원전 등물이 뭐 원전 터고요.
And for these
등물지 등물대 무춘주지 양촌이 등물이 뭐 원전 제 터고요. 샘천 터문 거. 이 등물이 뭐 맞은 대시시다 자고 말이대. 그 만도바 임바데 먹고와 임바데 참여하고.
So for the first kind of suffering of suffering, actually we don't need to go through so much because it's the obvious suffering or obvious unpleasant sensations that even like a very tiny insect can understand, can feel this unpleasant sensation.
야. 다단다 기르이 등물 사야지도.
But for the suffering of
기르이
change,
등물대 등물이 뭐 원전 제 터미데 아니 지금 여기 전에다 한번 뒤로 톱 살니마도 이 등물이 뭐 원전 제 도요.
but the suffering of change, who can recognize this suffering of change as being suffering of change? Just those beings that have high realization through shamatha and vipassana. So those who already attend shamatha and vipassana together, and then they can perceive suffering of change properly.
야. 자, 되니 처반듯이 등물을 해야 된다. 산지 전에 이거 안에 등물이 봐도 송고를 봐도 야 돈바시 한다게 이 등물이 봐도 송고요.
And for the third and subtle suffering, the all-pervading suffering, actually, just Buddha Shakyamuni himself exposed this reality of having a suffering, the third type of suffering. Others prophets, let's say like that, they didn't say anything about this third type of suffering.
배나 지금 돈바시 한다가 가르해지 여기 zukam다 zme가 살아 계속바이나 다다가랑기 아주 등물이 타도 그래서
Other prophets, actually, what they exposed, what they presented is we have three realms of existence, right? And so they form in formless realm of existence. You can take a life as a god, like to say mundane gods. So many of these others prophets, they expose that actually if you take the rebirth, if you're reborn as gods or pure celestial beings, actually this is already enough. So they expose just until this level.
Yeah. That's how you join the Chevina Zoo. You come Galhada, Zumi Galhadini Kiwayana, Cornecap, you give Haitela, never a neck of the la, Cornation neck of the la, and it do more rapat, not so nice. Saya, Nayala, so be doing the Yomanis, in a dear neck of some days. In a Kozu Gila, Lenyunga, Dina Wongi Chong, Saji never be Pombo to your so, Yanja, Korajamni, and you call doing Ramadan. But
Buddha Shakyamuni himself, he said, actually, well, you can, even if you take the reborn, take the life of reborn as celestial beings or light beings or gods or whatever you want to call, well, temporarily, you have much less or completely, you be free of this kind of very gross level of suffering, which is the suffering of suffering. This is true. You would not go through this kind of suffering, but it's just temporarily, because after your lifetime within this life as being God, ends, then you have to again, because they are under the force of karma and afflictions, so they still have the third kind of suffering, which is their body, like their polluted body. And so that's the reason that after they finish the time in the God's life, so they have to again reborn in any of the others kind of samsaric existence.
Oh yeah. That didn't do some taki number say ba. Di do some the two them jibuji so that di su the carrezi taki tambo chila ba. And then some lopa. Some lo the Muyo neta Mishibadan, some lo lopadan, some lo nutri some lo dindila they do somebody. Yes.
And so, just I said in the beginning, what is the cause of this suffering? So we have these three sufferings, and especially the third one, the subtlest one, the all-pervading suffering. What is the cause of this? The cause of this suffering of these polluted aggregates or body is actually a wrong understanding, a wrong perception. So because we understand reality in the wrong way, so that's the reason that impels us in this polluted cyclic existence.
Yeah, that dindijiga netanda shibitoni and semje kandi jilamini by dindigo dumur taki dumur somdata dumur data gi zu data samada driver show dindig samlo shikchimbo tangoni gala tangoni be niji shikchimbo rangela.
So when we understand that what means suffering means all of these kind of sufferings and all of its subtleties. So when we aspire to see all sentient beings be completely free of suffering and its causes, we recollect all of this that we talk now, all of the three kinds of sufferings and the causes of this. That is a wrong perception of reality. So that's the mind that we have to generate when we talk about the great compassion. So just here, let's take us as an illustration. Do you think let's look at each other and let's try to figure out if we can generate this very genuine and from the heart mind of deep compassion. Can we generate this mind now? But it's not just like merely words, okay? Like generally, do you think it's gonna are you able to feel like that? When I say that it's just mere words, it's like, let's take that I'm looking at Pedro. Yes, of course, I can really feel like a strong compassion towards him. But actually, it's just until here. It's just my words. Because from deep of my mind, maybe doesn't come this sensation. Can you feel this? Can you feel this great compassion? It's possible? Who thinks it's possible to give rise to this compassion mind now?
Right now?
Yes? Yes. So please, when you look at me, can you feel strong, this genuine compassion? When you look at me? Do you give rise to the compassion? Yes.
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 Oh,
thank you. Thank you. So people, but in general, people like, at least like me, for example, let's say that I'm visualizing Pedro, I'm thinking on Pedro, try to feel this, to generate this compassional mind. Well, I cannot do this generally.
Lamsa onije kope pekangindo lamsa ko nije yeto ngalamuni na naza shikchimo yenarma shikchimo yanangi lagbado chaningala nazik shikchimo dindi jabde wona kenan zonga tomatane lam o ninje kope dimu nasa da treva shok sambadu lamsa yeto
when I said about Pedro, in the sense of like one normal and with good
Pedro, no.
conditions, not Pedro, no, he's good. And then when someone like in good conditions, like in good health, good conditions, when I look at him and visualize him, so maybe I cannot feel like compassion just by looking at him or just by visualizing him, visualizing mentally, visualizing, remember him. But let's say that maybe when I'm sick, or if I have many wounds in my body, or if I really going through a very strong disease, let's take this example. And if you look at me or remember me like this, maybe you can generate a certain level of compassion, right?
Pedro Lame, go Zumaju.
Pedro
Lame. Pedro Lame.
He thinks he understands what I'm translating, and then he says she's fake translator.
Yeah. Chesa te kare re si te kala ngacho dungur se ade chesa dungur ki dungur tsamato dungur shanda tsola ya samlo shi chembo de ngacho la ngacho ngosang me sonza ta dungur tambo de mato dungur ni ba da samba ni bo de ta ti da ge gyu de so ngosang me sonza ani tini ge ji pasum so bi mi da kan ji thwa ina kola khad ni ji ki ma to ba de tela tini yes.
So why I said this? Because actually we can perceive, we can recognize the existence of the very first suffering, right? That is suffering, which is the disease and so forth. But we don't understand actually the two other suffering of change and operating suffering. For this reason, it's not easily, we cannot easily give rise to this compassionate mind.
Pena geso na yana mengang chimbo nandoni dini chi dikala tangone trani neba mombo dini thongyong dikala dini neba tsola mini lamsa susu ke semle ya o nije sambi koso pe di nasa dili tharo che na sam na gengo tsu de geso da tsu na la dini chinro lamsa koso la mini ma tsu ke semle ya zewa de ge thu yo jaza da de ma yimbi chonggang chimbo do da yana ji dini ke pe mi pe penjo chimbo do dini mombo yo sala do na 직전에 도솔라문이 착바 기야 양나 공부 기야 날ger 기야 타도 기야 뭐도 닌제 촌이 릴라우토니 기토고 막 이 가르치 가르치 사다다 아니 가르치 좀 아니 따져
아니 so usually we use the example like in order to the situation to give rise to the mind of compassion, like going to the what's the name, asilo, the elderly houses, the elderly house, or like big hospitals where there are so many people that really are undergoing to strong and obvious suffering. So when we recollect all the elders, like with lack of health and lack of conditions, or even like the sick people, like immediately, if you really observe kindly and really observe their suffering, immediately we I need poor of them and so forth. And so we can really give rise to that compassion or not just pity, but compassion feeling, right? But on the other hand, if we go to a very big shops, or we go to places with rich people or nice and with good condition, wealthy or good condition, physical and wealthy conditions, then I said that's the reason that I said about Pedro. So and then when we go to a very nice places where nobody's suffering, we cannot look at them or think of in those rich or good physical conditions people. We cannot like easily give rise to compassion looking or visualizing these people, right? On the other hand, actually, when we see these very famous or like powerful or rich people, what do we give rise to? Of course, not compassion, but we give rise to attachment or anger or jealousy or arrogance and so forth. Okay.
제가 드네 소상아서 지 니제 공부요 니제 소소질에 끼토고요 랍데오 다이나 니제 좀마좀도 니제 문이데 가르세 끼토 메와 가르레라와 제가 두머탄 드레버 쇼지 비 두머테 다다 문진 제 마통나 대단 드라이버 쇼 가져람나 다기 등을 당보도 마도 샹달라 상로 당 두배에서 니제 식춘주지마도 용도요.
That's the reason when people say, "Oh, I'm meditating in compassion." Yes, I mean, it's just that's not correct. Yes, it's just fake meditation in compassion. Why? Because most of us we just understand the very superficial suffering, that is the suffering of suffering. If you really understand the proper three kinds of suffering, all the kinds of suffering, then you really can give rise to the proper mind of suffering. But on the other hand, if you don't understand the suffering of change and operative suffering, what we are, of course, we are trying to practice to develop this mind, but it's going to be, if you don't understand it, the two sufferings, it's going to be a very, very tiny compassion.
Yeah. samlo karatang gore ngazur chu chama de dewando la dumur do ba chigba yimba da daga nansing dagi nansing lo ntrwa da ne lo mishi ba dindi ko pe mo chi tonda control la so bi nyomo dindi ko jawa yimba so so la rawa me ba o dindi ko samlo de je tang thwa ina ani ji panzi ji neba yimmin da ji nyamtha yimmi dindi la ma tu bi ji sama la mini o uni Devatan Dember show, Devatan Trevor show, Sambi, Sorwachi, Shichimuji left Toyaji,
So if you really can think again and again that and recollect the reality that all of us we want the same, that we want to be happy and none of us we want to suffer, but all of us we are under the force of our anger, attachment, jealousy, and so forth, without freedom, like we are under the force of these afflictions, and so we are involuntarily undergoing through these afflictions. So that's the reason that we act in random ways. And so if you keep in mind all the time, again and again, all of us we want happy and don't want to suffer, and we are under these afflicted emotions, or under the power of these afflicted emotions, then if you keep recollecting this, then we will be able to slowly give rise to the real compassion, visualizing or recollecting any kind of being.
Yeah. Ta ngaro so pena chi so so ge gelaya ani chi semche lam bi ni je de chasam shik chembo yoba di cho ga garre de so so la kangye tang chi dumar tang 가르치 용화이나요 수수 때텔에 때나텔이야 조바군 투야지 조선지에 투야지 용거래스
소소라
소소 배나가도지나 니질래야 아니 지 심절라무 비니지 식침보 지좀 요바디 조가 다 빼소소지 유머다 아니 소소라 강이 망보지 태와이나요 소소 심식 체리도야다 근데 조세 식 체리도 그래스.
So if you really recollect these and give rise to the proper compassion, so let's say like me, if I visualize all sentient beings and really aspire and give rise to that mind of may all of them be free of suffering and its causes, maybe if I'm cultivating this mind and again of compassion, maybe in that moment I have some problems, I can undergo through some problems. Of course we undergo so many problems, but in the moment that I am going through these problems of suffering or any bad sensations or bad situations in this moment, I can, because I'm so brave, I have so much courage and so much love and compassion because I'm cultivating this mind. So any kind of suffering that I am undergoing in that moment, I can forsake this suffering. I can be more, not patient, I can forsake, I can bear these sufferings, the suffering that I'm undergoing through.
배샤바이나 아마디그 소소고 부위체도 깔레 가수 잡고나야 잡투도 부텔라 조바 가수 곰고나야 아마디그 배따다 곰투도.
Just like a mother, that loves so much its kid, so it doesn't matter which kind of difficulty, of problem, of physical and emotional problem that has go to, she really goes, fights to have the best thing to the baby without any, she doesn't suffer so much to go through all difficulties to help the baby.
가르치니레스 아미 부위체도 딘디 깔레 잡투도 부라 딘디 소바 식치고 곰투도 데 가르레라바이나 부도 아말야 배가든 쳔보 쉐고지 임바이나 양 조진 우디 아마라 팽가 개구지 토메와 있나 아미 콜라 딘디지 소바식 침보금 깔레 딘디지 야 호야데 가르치레지 부들라 빼세와 하징식 침보 요송사 또서 제투요.
Why do you think that the mother is so, so brave, so courageous, so loving kindness, and so can bear so much difficulties in order to really take care of the kid? I mean, since the kid is not that. It's very special to the mother, but the kid doesn't help the mother. Actually, it's the opposite. The mother goes through so much difficulty to help the kid. Why do you think it's like that? It's due to the very deep love and compassion that she feels towards the baby. What?
Not every mother is.
Ama tama dirang maris. Ama di tama dirang maris. Ama tama ni susupugula ni di chegyo maris.
So then, it's not important, it's an example. Obviously, there's everything, but to have an example is something.
다데네 베나 데나싱거 가르쳐도 이마이나 아직 심체라무비 니지 저승식 심보가 바디 초가 단다 조비나노라 등을 당len지 소바세안로 아노젤라 지면이 비 소바세안로 디니마 모치도 란싱기 디 소바도 소임 조비냠는데 나란싱거 레병야지
아마나싱
심체라 저승식 니지 심보가 바디 초가 조비냠는데 란싱.
Of course, when we are visualizing all sentient beings, and we given rise to that wish of being seeing all sentient beings be completely free of suffering and pervaded of all kind of suffering and happiness, genuine happiness, this mind is the proper mind of love and compassion, and then can be felt.
Yeah, that's just what
Yes, you can pose it, questions and so forth.
Question.
아니 그런 게 거딜라서 이내 아마 참말이 때랑 말이스라 아니 부 아마 시안이 수수보다 다포랑 탐세와토라 다포랑 게마선스 다보 치치실랍서 다보치
대냥 가시 때 있다가는 용쓰게지 그래서 그 부드니 생게 요리 다 대양 지리마도 가르쳐 뭐만 쳐야 돼 야샤도 마선에 야샤 구주 골게 탐방 그 바치
이나 삼시지고 Yes, but of course, when we put the example of the mothers, it's because most of the mothers has this very deep feeling of genuine love towards the kids. That's the reason that we keep recollecting and remember their kindness. But some of them, due to their own difficulties and so forth, yes, they can have also their difficulties in order to take care of the kids, or some of them they even kill their own kids and so forth. Yes, some of them they can do strange things, but most of the mothers, it's not like that.
You talk about the three types of suffering and pervasive suffering. I understand the first two. Pervasive suffering.
Hakomason. Hakomason. Hakomason means I don't know in Tibetan. I didn't understand. I don't know. That's why he's checking his WhatsApp today.
chaban duchi dumoro sidigala chapa duchi dumoro sidigala ngazo ani taki seba pena tandi dilaptani do kam zikme kam ko ani diniga semjin tsamalia ani dine dumor digi chapgyo sonsa chaban duchi dumoro sego.
I'm just kidding, but let's try to understand all pervading suffering as we are sentient beings from all the three kinds of realms, as they say in the translations, or dimensions of life. Okay, we have three kinds of realms, like the desire realm, form realm, and formless realm, and all of these sentient beings living in this existence. So all of them, they have this kind of suffering. That's the reason that the suffering of them is all pervading suffering, because it's pervaded, it's present in all kinds of realms of existence.
캡 부세야데 디네지 캡세디간 셈제 창마라 등어디기 캡고요 손자 캡바스 누제바지디 등어 담보니데요 주 아니 디니가 Lenyu Yongi Jong Zaji Bombo de Latini Jongo Sonza, and Duchevas.
So when we say all-pervading suffering, it's not just all-pervading suffering, it's all-pervading compounded suffering or formational suffering, I say translate like that. All-pervaded because pervades all sentient beings. If it's sentient beings, has this third kind of suffering. So it doesn't matter in which realm of existence it is. And why is compounded or formational suffering? It comes from what is the origin. What is the cause of the origin of this suffering, or pervaded compounded suffering, comes from karma and afflictions. For example, here. I'm gonna, for those who are in our WhatsApp group, I'm gonna send you one picture. Geshe is queen of WhatsApp. Yeah, if all of you have WhatsApp or a WhatsApp group, it's okay. Otherwise, we can add, or you just share the screen with others. And you also at home, if you are in our group, just have a look in the picture that Geshe is sending. And there is one question here: definition of compassion. What is the definition of compassion? And what's the definition? Compassion is the mind that wishes to see all sentient beings free of suffering and its causes, and the love is the aspiration mind that wishes to see suffering. Yes, okay. After I say otherwise. Okay, let's see this picture. Okay, you have a look in the WhatsApp.
Yeah.
Okay, have a look in the group. Please have a look in this picture. Yeah, I'm seeing. I'm looking. No problem. Yeah. So there are three kinds. Okay, first. Okay, we have this picture. Everyone has the picture. Everyone is looking at the picture. Regina, do you have? Just wait, I'm gonna send you. Manda pra Regina. It's okay. Okay, so we have this. So Ale, tenang so dela mancho so net yo marira, so mancho ngayang net mindu tanda. Ani mancho Thomas. Yeah, okay. If you couldn't download the picture yet, just please have a look here. I don't know, now the net is very bad here in this room. You stop blah blah blah. You see how I suffer. This is suffering of suffering. Okay, this is the introduction for the three kinds of suffering. So can you see these three pictures here? The three colors. And so the first is suffering of change, and the last one's all-pervading suffering.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, okay, just wait. Okay, so okay, try to see here, please. Yes. Okay. And so this, can you see here? Slowly it will come. We have a poor connection, so that's the reason that the picture couldn't go yet. And so here the blue one is the desire realm. Green one is the form realm, and white one is formless realm. Okay, and in the desire realm are the beings who are suffering the very first suffering, which is suffering of suffering. And so suffering of suffering is experienced by the beings of desire realm.
Can
you explain what is realm? Realm is sort of dimension of existence. Okay, sort of. Okay. To understand Mare, come carry lapse. Aning it is
Dokam. Ode. That day, Dewey Dumor the cow part your race in a Dokam down, Santa Samba, Santa Yuki, Zikanda Nishira, Nishiganani, Santa Samba Manchelea, Dewey Dumor your race.
Okay, can you see that? So the blue one here is pervaded just in the desire realm. Can you see the red here? Red. So red here is the suffering of change. And suffering of change, where suffering of change is are experienced by the beings of desire realm, and not only by desire realm beings, but also the green one is the form realm. Form realms has 4 kinds of beings. So the 3 first kind of beings, they suffer the red one. They suffer this suffering of change.
Yeah. That the kind of Chavandiji Dumor is a servo.
And these orange. And the orange one here, and the orange one here is the all-pervading compounded suffering. And the all-pervading compounded suffering, can you see that goes the whole picture? In the background, the whole orange. Can you see the whole orange picture? What means that? That all beings from existence, all sentient beings, not beings of existence, but all sentient beings from desire realm, from form realm and formless realm, all of them, they suffer this all-pervading compounded suffering.
After I'm
gonna say it again, okay, in English.
Jando Yoni down, Nanchu Lojo Chendo Yoni Chimba and Niver, Demba Shella Tambo Lojo Yaguchi Chevore, so at the Nenga, the Solaticu.
So that's the reason that it's so important for those who says that it's important that they wish to, I wish to study Buddhist psychology. So if you really want to understand Buddhist psychology, you have to start with the Four Noble Truths in order to understand this.
Is it correct to say that it's all pervasive, because all of those beings are pervaded by the ignorance of the inherent existence? Everything every action, every thought is pervaded by that.
Ane tanto trupa zimpe mumpa wangi ane kapa dunyel simche tamche ane dunyel kapa duchegi dunyel yure labiadi taktarid taktamare.
Oh, Dagaran.
Yes, it's exactly like that.
Pena Chabanduchi Dumur Sud Car, Leda Numoni Latin. Numo Nani Jasu Carresin do Chajeta Timu. Dinan and Jam Timu, Mishiba, Teletin Chungo, Tanzama, Mishiba Latin Chungo, Tata.
Yes, yes, it's true, because actually out of the ignorance of perceiving reality in a mistaken way, like in a inherent existent way, out of these ignorance, and so all of our other ignorance give rise, and out of all the other ignorance give rise, and so give rise also to anger and attachment and so forth. And so out of these, we keep creating actions polluted in these afflictions, and then out of karma and afflictions, and then we keep cycling in this mode of suffering existence, which we call samsara. Yes, so it's exactly like that.
London the carriers, Timothy. The carriers in the Dumu Samawe, Zawa, Yi, Suins, Dana Jitendriana Junior Nancy, Tommy Maripada, the Tim dance Chigway.
That's the reason that we have the picture of cyclic existence. I don't know if you already saw. I don't know if you recognize this picture. Can you see this picture here? Maybe some of you already saw. We have this picture down in the other room, but what means this? This is the picture that illustrates cyclic existence, and the very root of the cyclic existence is the inner circle here that has three animals, and the pakpara and pig, yes, and the one of the 3 animals, which is the pig, pig represents this ignorance, the ignorance that that perceives everything as inherent existence. And so why? Because this is the very root of this suffering, samsaric existence. Yeah, Tio, I need.
It's okay thinking that the three different sufferings are like one leads to another one. Like, for example, the third, then from this one becomes the suffering of change, and from the suffering of change, then it becomes the other one.
ane dungel sumnane ani korshim yurebe perna tampo kyapa duchegi dungel latene dungel ki dungel ke palatene gyure dungel ke gyures korshim di yurebe.
Alors, tindi kori randa yo mari dina tu chaban ji dungel latene ane dungel shani de dungel tanju dungel ni dungres mato tambo chaba ji dungel che ini jiwi dungel dini dungel che tindi chaba yo mari es
Kyapa duchegi dungel latene.
ma chaban ji dungel latene dungel shani de
Actually, the third one is the root of the other two. So the all-pervading compounded suffering is the root of either suffering and suffering of change. Between these two, there is no order.
당하는 저 양치 고고야지 가라야지 다기 등을 숨 못로 죄송아 디 등을 숨도 말저 지 디손도 지는 국대야이나 지 바르제 디소지 돈이 코로나신 거 매바 차노야 노드니 여러분 대자원이요 맞다 양고 나저 잘란도 임바이나 고 샤샤바이나 로모모도 존나 그린데 조로야지 여러분 임바이나 단다 등을 숨들라 게린데 조아 여러분 게린데 자원이는 좋아요. 양cher. 오늘 다 매봐서 고나 가르치 고래스 디가 싸워도 매봐서 고래스. 어떤 시도.
And there's a very important point that I wish to tell you now. That is, some people think that this suffering that we have here, these three kinds of suffering, if you just wait a little bit, give a little bit of time to this suffering, they become non-existent. They just solve by themselves. But this is a very misunderstanding. For example, if you buy something and you just live like this, maybe after a few months or few years, the guarantee just come to an end. It's not like that. The suffering, if we don't really get rid of the suffering, it will always be there. So how can we really get rid of the suffering? Is by getting rid of the root of the suffering, which is ani tsao doing lembe lama.
Pena yang ngazu tizola tuya kariore de pena traumoshiko namshi traumoshiko tena ani kote ze ku dewa ina parise ani ko kika ta yarka tindi sharonde kala ko ranjing yang traumo de me ba chanu do ta de na jinga kamashi pena ta dharamsa namshi charba kaze ta charba shikshimbo jabdo ta ina ngazu te ze ku dewa ina ta chida ku ba damji chida chiba to sola chaba cheno ba ko te tizola guya do imba ina ngazu tanda dumur sa ando ta so chitizo do guni ko tinde de dewa ina ko ranjing me ba chanu ya tindi yo mares.
For example, there are some kind of sufferings that maybe if you just wait a little bit, the suffering will go. For example, if you have the suffering of cold, and then in the winter we have the suffering of cold, and then if you just wait maybe for 2-3 months, and then who comes after winter? Spring. Yeah, okay. Then after spring comes, and then the suffering of cold naturally just become non-existent, right? Or even a few weeks before we had such a strong monsoon or rains, so in that moment we had some unpleasant feelings and so forth. But if you just wait a little bit, now it's not raining that much, so it's still, and so that's the reason that unpleasant feelings of out of the strong rain, so it's not here anymore. So some people say, okay, now I'm unpleasant sensation, so I just wait a little bit and it will come. This is true for suffering, but not for all suffering, like the three of them. Okay. Yes.
Sorry.
Yes.
Yeah.
Question.
So, like, all of this suffering is temporary, right? That was my question. Like, once you become aware of the different types of suffering, and once you dissolve it, then it's all temporary. Right?
All the three kind of suffering, they are temporarily.
Yeah.
Then when you dissolve,
It's permanent until you don't dissolve it.
mm-hmm.
But once you dissolve it, even when there is that suffering present around you. It's not temporary.
Da dima son san dungel sum ka kunso ane nekap ki dungel mato kunso ane mitapa da oda kunso takpa ramares ane kisana kunso ane me pazoe ki dutso yores me pa mazo partu kunso takpa da odusra ine kunso selia yores dima son san se selpe du digela desune dungel rang yo marbe
그 가르세 가서 매번 마수 받고 그 딱바 넣어지 그래서 돼 딱바다 말이 거기까지 가면 치마 마들린 3절인도 배나 가서 집어 배나 계란도 로 가서 있잖아.
How old are you?
숨줄인도 제가 계란 아마 니마 끼니 단다 로 숨줄 받도 마들이 진이 균트니 용도 임바이나 디바르는 기로한 두기두기 단다 받들이 진이 마 용도 와. 그고 then I said, "Dungo taki dungo sumbo tini ibayin. Ko juntini tini chilma do dekte. Jiro doki chin."
Well, to understand that all sufferings until become completely non-existent, they are permanent. Actually, it's not like that. Also, for example, let's take you as an example. So, since you are born until now, within these 30 years, so you. Day by day, you changed, right? You change and change. Likewise, all of these three kinds of sufferings that goes along with you, they also change.
Yeah. 다 디나 등을 선보대 짱마 짱장지 소소 다 치시 촌이 소소 길라 촌이 끼야 매바지 소고나 단다 등을 선바지도 개반도지 등을 대 짱마 짱장 매바소 마탐나 등을 전 다도 짱마 짱장 매바소 도 말이스 개반도지 등을 세다 짱마 짱장 매바소 도서나 되니 zon데 And
then in order to get rid completely, absolutely, permanently, permanently of the three sufferings, actually you have to focus in the third one, in the all-pervading component suffering. So in order, if you really want to get rid of all sufferings, you have to really get rid of this third kind of suffering. And you can just say that together. 간데세르고레
간데세르고레 시티가라 자반데 지지 등월도 세르발라 가르치 고레 당가 종유 내땅 이렇게 우유 내땅까 임바도 소소 하고고레 시고레스
And how to get rid of this third subtle suffering, we have to understand, we have to give rise to the wisdom, realizing the actual mode of abiding of all things. If you understand how really reality exists, then we have then we get rid of this suffering. Is this impermanent? What do you think? Look at this picture. So there are four pictures here. There are four pictures here. So it's Geshe in 4 different ages. So the first one, when I was 23.
내 기실라는 기도 도이까라 내 기실라는 담자샤니 데 다름 살레용이까 다 단다
so what do you think? So talking about impermanence, what do you think? This is impermanent. So here I am in the very first picture is is me when I was 20, and then when I 20. Yes, 20. And then when I came to India, and then when I was undergoing the Geshe Harampa examinations, and then after when I just arrived to Dharamsala, 10 years old, and then now, look at me now. What do you think? Is permanent or impermanent? Do you think I changed? Do you think I changed? Chipare.
Yeah, chipatada.
It's not same. I need a white hair. Do I have now? You see, so I really changed right along all the years.
Yeah, didn't it?
Can you see the first picture that he has is just 20 years old? No, this is Tibetan. And question?
You talk about the practice of cultivating compassion as a meditation and something that you cultivate inside to have compassion for all sentient beings. But then when I walk around outside in the cloud, you know, I always see people begging or in pain, or animals also that, you know, are hungry or in pain, and you're constantly have actual suffering there in front of you. And so how important is the action of trying to help others? Is that as important as cultivating inside, more important, less important? Where does that come into all of it?
Yeah, 당아서 그래. 네, 동일선 남도다. 닌제라. 닌제 공개베 갑라타 닌제 님렌치베 갑라디. 단치나 야포두스라. 이공개야 당심체 담체나 미네 동일타 트와쇼 삼로타나. 척치 야포도아. 이네야 베나타나 람카라 파트루두라. 아니 방고 카초 마부유레지. 아메나네 아니 동일 nem베게 심체 카초 마부유레라 소파도아. 아니 데 갑라다가 di samlotan tan chico consuani dungan trawasho samlotana ani kelchimpore o yangna ani konso ngone chawa zambo tola ngone penani konso kalateya tan ropachea ani chawa yaksho kares kandres ngone nyemlenche yure tan ani gomgya sam yamena chawa tonadi ani kuni zumrel ki chawa kandres
ta kerala niba yona Tindig pay kozo dingo the travel show some ni laling toni kozo la kalatria that the so niba the yosona ta ni so sa pe missing very good yes.
Well, if it's on your hands, if you can do whatever it's on your hands to help others, is very good.
Ta dini pena tindig sozo la yang niba meva yinaya ani sozo go to la mini Nanchi that's the Simchen Dilichi Kangi Dilichi Yong show. That and then the color corridor in the Momba that did Nashinga to a Dunga Manyon Kejidan. And used to Kalaranke that you do things on board which or didn't tell you Molum Java in a Pendosh Chimbo Yongore. Called Musa Takinaja Kalatia, the Kozola Robache Matamna, so to some tone, T Tony, so Simbi Tola Kozola Colonel Sambuji, Molo Sambuji Jamnaya, and the pay young Pendo Yongore.
But if you cannot help some of them or all of them now, if you really cultivate again and again this genuine aspiration of seeing everyone free of suffering, definitely is beneficial. Why? Because this is going to bring you benefit for the future. Now it will transform slowly, and then in the future you really will be able to help them, everyone. But for now, you do whatever it's on your hand and keep cultivating this mind.
Ina yang so yang kala dindi sablo tengdo pena so dindi ni je gomba ina phajo semje dingo nyo de ni so dingo lamsama karzama jindo ni no chi takwa shi wa no ji ba meba changdo ya no dindi chi parchi yosare sam dindi samlo tana te chuni yo yo mar karez dindi do kazen ni me yo yo na sanji chende de ngama ni je gompe ni je chembo ko jela ke ni semje tamje la mi ni je ke yo Yimbaina Dandine Gola Simche Pe Dungo de Nimbuchi Chadedo. Yimbaina, the Dungo at the Suso Goris, so in Sonza, they never saw a Tapshi, so go they Kaza Kosola Dungo Sonete and the Mishanda Marwa. So the Dungo Kangi at the two Marso so Shagore, Marso Zoe in Sonza.
But some people, they think that because they are cultivating this compassion, not let's put aside break compassion, just compassion. And so just because I'm thinking I'm really aspiring for seeing everyone or that person, that being and then animal free, completely free of suffering, means that I'm gonna that suffering exactly in that moment. It's not like that, but many people do think like that, like take from its own hand the suffering and has to disappear the suffering from that other being. It's not like that. This is a misunderstanding on compassion, on the proper cultivation of compassion. If it's really like that, like cultivate the great compassion and then immediately all beings be completely free of suffering. Actually, in 2,600 years ago, Buddha Shakyamuni already gave rise to this mind of great compassion, but it's still until now we have so many beings undergoing through suffering. So it's not like that. Why it's not like that? Because actually the sufferings that those beings or all of us beings go, they were created. This suffering that everyone undergoes is an experience of previous actions that the proper being created. And so because the proper being, we ourselves created the causes for the sufferings that we are undergoing now. So if it's like that, and so the proper being, the being itself, oneself, has to get rid of the causes of the sufferings in order to not suffer anymore.
Pena ngarso dirisani zamuli ya pe amadri la so pe nyokta shivndo aya. Mig zobi nyokta mombochi. Tati nyokta mombochi ore tati.
We can see nowadays that in our in this planet, in this time, in our time, in this planet, we can see so many problems, like even wars and so forth. Why our planet is undergoing so many sufferings and problems?
다 딘디 nyokta mombochi yo da ngaso konjo la so da ne konjo chera ga dini pe zamuli ge te nyokta chama da meba so ro chi molum ro ka to jaga ina ko lamsa meba ro shaya ro dini mudwa 가르 디 nyokta so ni da ngaso mi re ma zamuli ge mi so nyokta so de go re ma to konjo di nyokta to so ma ro e ma yin sonza ngaso mi ge samla njirwa ji temni kale chen ti ma jab go re se ni to so semla njirwa ji temna 다 고마운 듣는 삼 제로그램도 그저 생란 기로하지 마침 봐도 용다 잠 제요만 고조 마요니 고조 용다 람사 제와나시 제샤야도 되니 그거 민도
and then so much problems, so much difficulty problem and war in this world. And so if you want to get rid of this of the war in this world, so let's pray all together for this. It's not gonna come to an end, this war at all, right? And the suffering so forth is not out of the power of the prayers that is gonna be. Why? Because the war and the problems are created by the beings here. And so until the beings themselves, they don't get rid of their wrong understanding, of their misperception, of their suffering, they will never get rid of the suffering that they create to this world. And so and many also, they think, okay, let's pray to God, then God comes and just get rid of the suffering or to the war. It's not like that at all. So we ourselves have to get rid of the suffering in our own continuum.
다저런 다기 가서 니제고는 초준이 야고도 가르는 셈발이야 그래서 좋아 되네 셈바 기보 용도 세 다 때문에 소소 니지 냠네 제니 단 집이 약속직 되다.
And you said, well, if I cultivate the mind of compassion, I also feel good. I feel good, like give rise to some nice feelings that are really aspiring to see everyone like free of suffering and so forth. This nice and good feeling that you feel actually is a good sign that you are going to a proper meditation on compassion.
가르레지 되거나 삼로도 샹다라 대화 용어다 둥을 마용어 삼로 담바이나 이내야 디키트 소소 셈라 용어도
because you visualize all sentient beings, or those beings that you want to visualize as being completely free of suffering, genuinely free of suffering and so forth. But who feels good? Oneself. So this is a proper sign that the compassion is coming.
다 딘디그 니제 고말라 데니 소소라 캡산 요바드 통용디 간래야 딜레데니 소소고 셈바 롤로차 소소고 셈바 롤로차나 소소고 가보니 보다 소소고 마상 에기보 데니 갈레 파파파파 소소고 니제 가니 냠네 지고 바이나 소소 도보 도모 솔레 냠네 제탄 파파파 라바이나 딘딜레데니 갈레 미치니 니니 시드니 지니파 차베도지 제바이나요 근데 펜도 제단지 용고요레스.
Why is like that? Because if out of visualizing or giving, wishing, seeing everyone without suffering, like one feels good. If one feels good, one is more in peace. And if one is more in peace, like also those beloved, those close one also will become more peaceful. And those in those surroundings also will become peaceful and more happy. And then slowly towards more and more people. So that very single mind of compassion that quiet your agitated mind and afflicted mind also will spread that peaceful sensations towards 1 to 2, 2 to 4, 4 to 8, and so forth. So this is the proper price or the proper importance of this mind of compassion. Yes.
It's a bit connected to her question. So how can we deal with the expectation of people in our lives to help them. Like, I'm not talking about the beggar in the street that is far away, but like, let's say our mom, our best friend, our spouse, whoever, they often have the expectation that we can help them, and they are disappointed when we say something like, oh, I don't have the wisdom yet, I have to go into meditation for the next 10 years.
That's why riwa de sora so ani shengi riwa kandes mulen chigiri abdulen chigiri pernanga so ama pingya topo ani gavola sopara kunso yang so riwa shempo pichempo gya yirira ina yang ani kunso gi riwa ngaso santu gi marera kirsi masana kare chini sananga tadun tama hamako ani nupa chempo yo mares ani kunso la kare lab gore o tisgwa da tobo tisgwa tananga tadun kirangi riwa kandes gya tadung shera dawi mares shera nikula yente dunga tadung lochugi ringa nga tamde gores kandes labgire di konsogi rewa kandes dolenchi gire
de takana channel danda niba mena niba jumale parda ge channel solate penanga so gela ina chigbarewa geginji ba ina ya corona pe lobi niba chazang ji ba ina lobtila la gore ma to niba chazang mewa ina nga gegi chigi se ati yungu marwa de nanshinga 그래서 이바이나 지금 잔달라 소소가 강시바다 랍초고리티 이바이나요 지금 제체 자담바 고소 그래와 강마타나 강이 니바지 말레바 소소고 로종지 냠레 제고야 라테고요 내가 차리.
Well, actually, yes, and the way that you wanted to say to your family actually is the proper reality. You cannot fulfill others' expectation without being ready for that. You can fulfill others' expectation after being ready. So yes, you have to prepare yourself, just like teacher and student. If the teacher doesn't become teacher first, how can teach others? How can guide others? So before being teachers, some of them, they just know a little bit and immediately become teacher. That's not the proper way. So first has to be really ready, have to give time and be ready for. And then teach others. And then when it's teaching to others, I'm going to teach as much as I can to the other person, not to create expectation for the person to do and understand everything that the person is teaching. And likewise, also the parents also, they say whatever they can to the kids. But before being ready for them, they cannot tell them. So yes, maybe you have to get ready first to after trying to fulfill the expectations of your beloved.
Chera chichena ane lo mombo la gege atili niba yo ga chera la pento bala chera chichena lo mombo chichena pe mutse ya mombo chichena tindi gege ngule tindi la
Consola lave. But maybe you have to tell them, yeah, I need some time, like to be ready. Maybe, but I don't know how many years, maybe some years, or maybe some lives, or maybe some years, I don't know. Maybe you can tell them this. Just
yang tindi ge teze samlo tola ya suso lojo chendo yo de ni chin baina suso la lobi ni ba me ba ina yang suso la ji yo baina chera de le dona Adil Tisola Tiwati, Digitola, Cheran Digila doing Lojo Chena, Chigena, Cheran Samlo Losoda, Tadinis Samlotanda Diniga, and Cheran Lojon Ragares, and Yansuzo, Soso de La Mashiba Inaya. Yansuzo within the Giolo in the top and the Cherazolo in the Tandidu, Chibubichos of the Nimambochilla, Gio, Gio Sonza, Soso de La Mashiba in the mission that left in the Motochia Yobaina, up on the Motochia Inaya, Pajotaya, Pindu.
But even if you are not 100% ready now in order to teach by your own self, so maybe, for example, now you are already like habituated or used to some kind of understandings and philosophies and so forth, and so you can share whatever you already listened or whatever you know until this age. And then you can share with others, definitely. Like what I already heard until now is this. And then you can share, and then definitely it's going to be at least helpful for others. And so this you can, for example, now you are used to this kind of Tibetan society or environment. So after when you go home, you can share whatever I listen from these Tibetans or these teachers and so forth, you can share with them. And ani chuchudi so yeah da nupa chimbo ani Nupa chimpole sons kandes hago gides kichitiso.
Ale.
So.
Deda pena niba chimbo soso la kazo lepso te samlo lopso karza samlo tola niba le ayeso pena jarado yima jaranga ke kazo shingyu ke.
How many languages do you know?
Three.
Tiri shingdo.
Three.
Tiri shia de jarang kandijina hago.
How do you know that you speak 3 languages?
Because I can communicate with people.
Mishimanga shitu.
네. 근데 나 지금 소소가 되니 소소라 되니 봐도나 소소가 되 니제 곰당다 소바 곰당 참아 소소 하고비 돈이 미장달 발로 롭터비야지 용해야 돼 소소 하고 단다 저런 거 끼기 숨쉬야 돼 저런 거 하고와 나시 아니 길이 니바지 레오니까 소소가 따다지 저런 거 끼가 숨쉬요 삼바데 나시 무슨 그래.
So likewise, so how do you know that you know 3 languages? Because you can communicate. Likewise, you just know that you already have that power because you're able to engage in the actions that require that kind of knowledge. And so after you really are completely able to react towards compassion, so all of your actions will be naturally because you already have the power of the mind of compassion and love.
Intuition will take picture into that. Then intuitive mind will take picture into that. Not the reasoning mind, but the feelings and
Ani de tu perna kel sin ninja tan champalana ninja tan champati ngang ne yongiore ani gyumsen da midala tagomare sra de kabla sin nupa shushin por le pizze ngang yongiore be yamena tadung so ani gyumsen pe ma basama tan
pena dande ne kola ta cherang gela lapshi mari de na ta pena ga su gela ya control ta ndo chate ko pasho mubando de kin te ten lamsa kiumdo also niba shikjimbolena tena jingang kium niji.
Well, I didn't say intuitive, I said naturally. Okay, translate like that. And then, well, what I can tell you is, imagine that, for example, most of us, we naturally, almost intuitive, but naturally we react with anger or with attachment, right? Why? Because the power of our attachment and anger is already in the highest level. So it's like that.
Less.
What is the difference between the pure special intention and the mind of enlightenment of bodhicitta?
So there are 2 ways of giving rise to bodhicitta. The one is the 7 points, 6 causes and 1 effect, right? And the other is exchanging oneself with others. In the 6 causes and 1 effect, so the 6 and 7, the last cause is the pure intention, altruistic intention, and the result of this is bodhicitta or mind of enlightenment. So what is the difference between these two minds, Andrew?
what is the second one?
And the second one is exchanging oneself with others. And so now Andrew, the last cause and the result of giving of bodhicitta.
Da de rumba de kandi yungore la pena. Da hangsong go ngola niji chembo gomgo yo sonda. Da niji chembo de gara ja muba simja tamja la mini deda dingor da trataba chi gogundu dingor trataba chi jegundu. 다 등원다 트트바지 제구도 상원데 간 달 하우섬데 가르 원나 등원다 트트바 제구도 수제구도 내지인자 학선때 등원다 트트바 내지인자 학선때 소소 쿠르들렘바지도 쿠르들렘바지도 간 돈다 심제 등원다 트트바 제야다 내지인자데 학선데.
A few weeks ago, maybe today we can send again, Geshe, send in our WhatsApp group, if you remember. So the 6 points, the 6 causes and 1 effect. He sent it in Tibetan and in English. And so before we give rise to the last cause, which is the altruist intention, we have to cultivate compassion, the great compassion. And then after first great compassion, and then altruistic intention. And then this is the last cause. For the result, bodhicitta or mind of enlightenment. And so why do we cultivate first great compassion before altruistic intention, because when we are cultivating, when we give this the rise to the mind of great compassion, is may all sentient beings be completely free of suffering and its causes. It's like that, very, very intense, very genuine and natural, like intuitive, natural comes to the mind. Okay, but then who is gonna take the suffering of all beings? It's me. Like, I take responsibility. I be the one who take suffering of all beings. So this, but it's not just like from mouth. I mean, it's really like it's completely blowing mind, like in our chest, sort of I be the one. I take responsibility of everyone's be completely free of the suffering. That very mind, completely stable, completely genuine, and pure and genuine mind of I be the one taking responsibility to take others suffering. This is altruistic intention. And then these two minds is the two less causes to give rise to the result, which is bodhicitta.
Yeah. Da nge chegin lamna ona tanda ngala niba due semchen ke dumur meba so thobya ga niba ngala due semudu taki karsa ko riga jiwa de ngala tanda niba mindu si ona ngala tanda niba mena yon tindi niba yosachi nga chaya yorebes semchen ke dumur ser thubi niba tanda bi kansa chi chaya yorebes den dus karezi de nga kyung kunse yonde kundan de bi kansa chi cha somba ina ngarum ko kyo seli zetan yonde zoli zotan to sama de semja jandala ya te nanshin ke soso ke nyamnyong de jandala lojo tena te thamye kansa ji nga chaya di sonsa nga niburto kyung kunse yonde kund semje dungun tar thaba de ngechegi ngala tandan nibo mena yo kan nga tindi nibo da dembi kansa ji chegi sambi o dindi ji samlo tangoni kan ani chanju ko semsi tonda nga semje ke dungun kyap thobi cheda yode kunde ji kansa ji ni par ta chayen sami odini go lo shikche moji le ya chanju ko semsu.
So this second mind, the altruistic mind between these two, right? So when that intention, like very pure and honest intention of I be the one who take all sentient means suffering, sort of almost with the hands, but it's not like that. But I be the one responsible for everyone's free of suffering. When that mind gives rise in our continue, then one has to ask oneself, are you be able to take everyone's suffering? Just like Rika asked, I'm not able now to do this. I'm not able to help everyone, right? So in order to really be able to take out the suffering of everyone else, one has to be pervaded by all the qualities of knowledge, qualities of power, of capacity, and qualities of love, completely pervaded from with these three kinds of qualities. That is just the highest being, which is the Buddha, like a being who has already that mind of Buddhic mind in the continuous, that has the power to really like out of the knowledge and love towards all beings. He knows exactly what each and every being needs. So which kind of, how can I guide every sentient beings, which kind of words and example and help each and every being needs. So in order to understand how can I help every sentient beings to get rid of the suffering, so I need to really be to give rise to the mind that is the mind of bodhicitta. The mind of bodhicitta is the mind that in order to help everyone, I want to become a Buddha. So this is I want to become a Buddha out of the for the benefit of all sentient beings is the mind of bodhicitta or mind of enlightenment. For example,
Mimang kange se go dus. Mimang la kange me baso dus. De na je lo mimang kange. Ta ona mimang kange me baso so is ngeche. Tati chig ngeche. Ona ngeche chig lapsa de kerala tanda mimang kange se to ya niba de yoes mes. Ona gani chig chini che se mimang kange se to chig is na gyarkap ti sin chena. Sin ga kupja de gola lemna. 미망가 강에 세트 책임이었어. 제가 뒤에 소상한 니버도 아니 미망가 강에 세트 비체도 나 자급디 신신 책임 삼로지도. 뭐 신신 책임 삼비 삼로 나셔도 장주가 셈되지. 아니 미망가 강에 세트바 책임 삼비 내 책임 삼비 디니가 삼로 탁상.
So just like another illustration.
배.
So for example, illustration. For example, our people. So our people is suffering of has many suffering. And so if one give rise to that, I really want to see all my people free of suffering. I really want to see everyone, all my people out of this, get rid of the suffering. So who is gonna help my own people to get rid of suffering? I be the one. I be the one who is gonna help them. That mind that aspire to be the responsible for their lack of suffering is the altruistic intention. The first one was compassion, the great compassion, and then I be the one. But now I'm not able to get rid of my people's suffering or my people's problem. So how can I help them to get rid of their sufferings, of my people, of my cities or my people? Like I be the president of my country. So I be the president of my country. So when I be the president of my country, I can get rid of the suffering, the causes of the suffering of my people. That mind that, okay, from now on, I really struggle to become a president of my country, that mind that really aspire and does everything out of that mind to become president in order to help one's own people, this is the mind of bodhicitta.
Yeah. One that Tinido Samlo Tanti in the day, the Reva Tomba Marves. Tini Muni Chai Yoreves, Jana Junkins, Yunde Kunde, the which you made in your Kansachi Chai Yoreves, the Yores. Courage in the Haku not so Jella Pena Meto Tiala, Sabon Center with it, not so Tiniga, Junkins, Yunde Kunde Chayaga, Ko Sabon Nam, Nubadi Yores. In a day, I get on the Arasos of Zundita, or Tinila Rally. Yes.
But then some of you maybe can give rise to doubt. That is, do you think maybe we really have the power of really get rid of the suffering of everyone? This is not just a fake or illusory expectation or idea or whatever. No, it's not like that. Like all of us, we really have the power, because we all of us essentially means we have the seed. We have the seed of this power here. So because we have the seed within our own mental continue, and so we need to cultivate, we need to pour water in that seed in order to give rise to the sprout and so forth.
Pena.
For example.
For
example, if I expect to become the president of America, of course, gonna be a fake, illusory expectation. But maybe you, if you want to become a president of America, maybe you have all the conditions to become president of your country, and it's not gonna be a fake expectation, an empty expectation.
Because you have
all the conditions for that. But for me, for you maybe have all the conditions to become the proper conditions to become a president of America, at least in this lifetime. But for me, maybe I don't have all the conditions to become president of America in this lifetime, because I'm old, I don't know the language and so forth. But I have the seed. I have the seed. For example, if I become president of America, first thing that I'm gonna do is
no.
In order to become a president of America, the first thing that they will ask me is, okay, give me your passport. And then which kind of passport do I have? So it's not going to be possible.
Yeah.
Need to, yes.
At the point in which you are in that altruistic stage, you want to help others. But at that point, you eradicated the suffering from yourself, like is it really eradicated all suffering in yourself?
When you have bodhicitta in your continuum, right? Yeah. Bodhicitta is a mind, and so when you cultivate it, when you gave rise to this bodhicitta mind, So in that moment, did I eradicate all sufferings from my okay. Ane sosogula semra. Sosogula ke pedice ane duel sam ane servo sasone.
알레옹 정주고 심 런길에 계와이나 등을 상마다 매버 차고 말해.
No, it's not like that.
가르레와이나 땅가서 대 리모요리 때 장주 초롬바다 졸롬바서 소양 가르레스디 그냥 장주고 심 런길에 빼 나주길은 도샤기와 나주 낭기 빼 장주고 심 식심부 끼어 이나 단다 등을 레 상마상냐 다리요.
So it's not that when we give rise to the bodhicitta, the mind of bodhicitta in our continuum, doesn't mean that we eradicate all our sufferings, not like that. But what happened is we don't go under the force of all the afflictions, but we still have the suffering, but we don't undergo the force of this. Why?
나르초 디다 촐래야 곰시다 하정식 진보요 손자 인디 곰시트소 들어와 당와라 림비 지니 야가 촐라 로종지 곰시테 인디니 칼레칼리 들어와 당 고리모 람사 로상보 찍게 온디가 람사 시가 디다도 상마디 들어와 로샤야 된디요.
Because all of us we are 100% pervaded by all kind of misunderstanding and in order to get sacolas vermelhas. So all of us we have very bad habits for many times, and it's so strong. So just because we rise to one very good intention or one very good mind doesn't mean that all our bad habits is gonna be eliminated immediately. But what happens is it's gonna slowly first diminish the strength of these bad habits, and then slowly the bad habits and the bad seeds, it's gonna be eliminated gradually. For example,
제가 직자라 가보요.
do you like coffee? Estou semeando. This is one of our Geshes. I know. Wait, thanks. In a while we are gonna do the okay, no worries.
배나 저런 도이나 직자 동야들 남산 저러던 거리에서나
For example, you like coffee, right? Let's say that you like coffee. I didn't hear your answer. Okay. And so because you like coffee, so immediately you not just dispel this liking or this love towards coffee, right?
저런도 참아 동야 라선
Did you all of you have cups? Cup?
No.
Yes.
Just for you to know, the Geshes, all of our Geshes this morning, they went to do some pujas, some prayers, and then during these prayers, they offer and so forth, and then the blessings is under the offerings, and so here we have the offerings with blessings, and so please just have it. And for you at home, for you the blessings also. And we do the questions online slowly. Okay, so it's gonna be like that. You understand? Okay, now. Yes, just let's give the chance to their Chiva. You came here for the class or to eat? You enjoy. Tira uma fotinha agora de clean, eles comendo. It's fine from understanding of what Krishna's compassion is the way that people are free of suffering and love is the people's pleasure. Yeah, Andrea, your understanding is correct. Compassion and love is like that. But some people are happy because other people suffer, or also some people. So at home, question is, some people are happy because others suffer, or also some people think that if a person is suffering, it's because they did something bad and they are paying karma. So people no longer feel compassion for those people. So that thought that some people need to suffer so they can learn to be a good human beings, is that compassion too? Did you understand? Ine amica shera kuntu samlo karisano tengere sana ani pena ani mi chiga dunyen shiuru nyogirera ani ko ani le duchara tene tanda ko dunyen shiu nyogidwa tembo sono ko la ragleran resra demba sonsa ko la ragleres kemi induzani soso ani ko la mine ani ninje kiyo marera ani ninje kiyo mare ani sabione ani digala yami kashe nie parduani ko le duchadi selia chedu nie parduko dunyen nyogores Nyam pelodi mika she shukshempo duas. Di lodi yang ninjere base. Tiwa chigre kashedo.
Tambodo direwa. That David Mare, Kaza Dungoya the Koronga lay in Sonza, Ani Dungoya the Koronga lay in Sonza, for Dungon Gogode, Sambi, or Dine Kolaya Dine Nijiki Mares, or Dine Samlote, Tata Chavio Mares.
Well, actually, there is no need, for example, in the case of there is no need to feel compassion towards others, or is not able to feel compassion towards others, because if one is suffering is out of one's own bad actions or bad karma, bad actions. Well, it's not like that.
Karare Lavaina Pena, Soso Amatepe, Nasano, Dini Yung Devaina, Pudu, and ni Ama Corona, Corongale, Nicola Roba Chico Mare, Dini Lavemdua.
For example, if our mother is undergoing through so much suffering or disease and so forth, our mother is our mom is going under this suffering because of her own fault or bad habits. It's not like that. That's the reason that I'm not gonna help her. I mean, this is not a proper mind. This is not a proper attitude. I
was so curious about it. So heavy. I'm sorry.
This is made by Tampa. This is made by Tampa and Tibetan cheese and butter. This is the most common talk or blessings in the rituals, mainly in Tibet. Here, now we have many industrialized products, but in Tibet, it's like that. Just because it's out of her own karma or bad attitudes and so forth, that's the reason that she's suffering. So I'm not gonna help her. I mean, that's not a good mind at all. Even though it's true that it's out of her own bad attitudes and so forth, that not just her, but everyone goes under one's own suffering. But one needs to, just like you said, like when we really can cultivate compassions like that pure aspiration or intention to see everyone free of suffering, and so one feels good, isn't it? And so if one feels good, feels more in peace, more happy, and then can spread and inspire and spread this peaceful state of mind and happiness towards one's beloved and so forth. And so this is the proper mind of the proper way of generated compassion. It's not just like, like being senseless. Yeah. And this is this is made by Tampa. You can try.
Later the deal some tiny chimba, Tanda Korea Kanye that Dimutini Yumbu by the young Samlo Chi did on Ayabores. Karis Tanda di Korongo Dimu the Kola Kanye that Dimu Chimuchi Yugundu. 인바이나 디카미도 등운용에 되게 나마글리 그런 걸리 누가 간이 사요나 저 참아도 단데 등운용에 되게 딱버쇼 삼바로 어디 삼도 땅땅나 빼면서 그래.
We're talking about like how to understand the reality of is due to her own karma or actions. I mean, karma is the sense of the actions motivated by impelled by one motivation, and so it's due to the action of her previously done that she or he is going through these difficulties. In one side is true, but how to deal with this understanding is like, well, poor of her or poor of him and so forth, poor of me and so forth, because it's out of one's own bad actions that we did before that we are undergoing this bad situation. And so may all of us, may she, him or me and everyone else be completely free of these misunderstandings that impels in our own sufferings. And then we can start generating this compassionate mind. And then there's some others here. Some people are happy because others, this we already went. But Buddha says that bodhicitta is emptiness and compassion. The union of emptiness and compassion is bodhicitta. You know, sangi chuninde kare son sana the semke janchu sem kare sena Tunita ninjere, tunita ninjezunjelwe di ane bodhicitta la pitu.
Deda mare, da ina toni ninji nimbo chen se de kana. Janche sembi jigo, da toni to sembi ge janche sembi jigo ninje de da toni ninji nimbo chen se ga bode chao yore ma to. Chedanga chene toni to bi shir karza janche ge sembi na ninji mi jigo toni karza toni ninji nimbo chen se de yimbi ngiba yo mare se.
No, it's not like that. It's not that that bodhicitta is emptiness and is compassion. It's not like that. Of course, like in order to give rise to bodhicitta, bodhicitta is the mind that is conjoined with the mind perceiving the ultimate reality or emptiness. So together with the mind that perceives emptiness or the ultimate mode of abiding of all phenomena, then this very strong compassion, not just compassion, but the very strong mind of enlightenment, then is bodhicitta. It's like that. But what Buddha Shakyamuni said is, if you practice both bodhicitta and emptiness and the mind perceiving the ultimate reality, then you can go through the same way or through the same path that all of us Buddhas already went. For example, if I go to America, I have to go by flight, right? But if the airplane has just one wing, it needs both wings, right? It's just like that. So it's like that. And so in order to achieve the ultimate state of Buddhahood, and so needs the two wings, the wind of method, with its bodhicitta, and wind of wisdom, which is the wisdom realizing the final mode of abiding. So with these two wings, we can achieve our America or our state of Buddhahood. Or if you have both legs, you can go to triumph. If you just have one, you cannot reach triumph. Okay, some other question here?
Yeah, really important one. Can you get diabetes from less cookies?
So kimbatonda, ane biscuit ngarmo git so lechung, ane chininatsa yungere bes. You know the answer. And emptiness is wisdom, then it will be wisdom and compassion. The wisdom. Emptiness is wisdom, then it will be wisdom and compassion. Emptiness is wisdom. No. Emptiness is wisdom, then it will be wisdom and compassion, the union that will be bodhicitta. That is just some kegi to Toni Sherabris. The inversion. Ane Dimba Sonsang, ane Sheraptang Ninja sunt Jerwe Kiloti, ane Tikshin Simkirbis.
Didn't take it as Eva. Tonya the knee got a share of rely on her. Tonya is the yours. They to be share of data when they share of money to chat. That data needing is under the tagging it Tombochilas. Tonya needs is under when you chick chicks at a chick when she does at the Chaviorimato, could data around the needs of Sobade, changing the same reason in it.
Ane Tunita Ninja, Tunita Sheraptang, ane Ninja.
Nijin, when you chick when she drove. Once the chickachilla drop Jenny, Chicky Yargino, Toya the Dinipen mother. Dini Yam the Yoya the chance of the same reason in the liars.
Well, first of all, emptiness is not wisdom. Emptiness is the object. Emptiness is the object. Yes, it's a permanent phenomenon. Okay, but emptiness is an object, and the mind who perceives this object of emptiness then is one wisdom. The wisdom perceiving emptiness. Okay, and then the wisdom perceiving emptiness, and this great compassion together those minds that help each other. So on the top of the helping of these two minds, combine it, then give rise to bodhicitta, just like we said a little bit before. Okay, maybe, yes, it's already a little bit time. Let's, yes. In Tibetan. Oh, yeah. Sure.
Let's go.
Yes, try. Then after you have to translate because you are a future translator. And then
Samsam na niemniej chatu ani na ngune mauntala na ngune mauntala semchanda reflexe tupa la ichechegme Gyaltsen kalvesana ani so la le shempaya le jabu shempaya ani Geshe Jebu, so le la raglena, ani na candes mishembala sanchantam shada.
in English.
So my question was like, how can while I'm practicing, practice like bodhicitta, so sometimes I have doubt that I can really help other sentient beings because eventually like they are what, as far as I understand, so the result that sentient beings like every sentient being has is like due to his own karma. So sometimes I have doubt that I can really like help.
당은 동봉이 쪽으로 빼지 봐. 빼 가르쳐서 디가나 빼나가서 소소 겐라지 뭐이나 소소 강 라위아데 소소 차상지 시요바이나 빼나 안신도이나 안신 겐라지 뭐이나 그런 거 안시 차상 그 비다보지 신기요나 다 그런 로마 적응원이 로마 가서 라나 그런라 로 초초라 하고서 다 가르레지디가나 고 소소가 안시 겐라지로와 안시 겐라지나 그런 거빼 안시 빼 비다보지 장요 비다보지 신기요나 다 게트 성원이 나라 라브로지람나 그런 랍 초초라 오 데나시 삼로다나 디그리 마도 저런 거라 문이래 덴바래 가르레서 샘신 성원이 상제가 샘신 그돈 젠도 요바이나야 샘신 성원이 로종 제로 맞이나 상제라게 굳이 제야요만 데나신 그 ताकि पेटे आंसी खेबा गेला दिग कोरोंगा आंसी शिंगोरे लोमा ले लब थुगोरे दिना लोमा चोग लावरो माची लोमा चो दिन लावसा मायोना आंसी गेला ले के कुछ चेमदो पेटे ना चिबो चिचारे
This is an important and a normal question and normal doubt that all of us, we have to have actually in the beginning. Because you have to take an example as if you want to teach others math. So first of all, you really have to become an expert of math. So you have to educate yourself in mathematics, and then you have to graduate yourself as math teacher. And then with all the monkey, and then there is a monkey coming here. And then and so it's okay, nobody's kicking the monkey, it's kicking the So in order to help others to understand math, oneself has to be a scholar, or oneself has to be expert in mathematics first. And then after being completely expert in mathematics, so anything that the students need to listen out of their own capacity and their own needs and so forth, the teacher just speak in different ways, in different modes, in different stages of the student understanding. It's like that. But doesn't mean that just because the teacher is teaching mathematics, then the student will understand everything. It's not like that. Why? The student just will understand mathematics that the teacher is completely expert in mathematics is teaching if the student himself studies and practice and go under all the exercise and the homeworks and so forth. It's like that. It's not that because you become completely expert, then you expect that everything that you teach the person immediately will practice and realize. It's not like that. Just like being a very expert doctor.
Dili chamba member la niba yomata, men the tata, tiso tata la neba de zaro chevaina, da kogo nasa to try revando. Pete naje, taki chano, semche susu lesani ko til ko leg jiba the ta goyate, susu kale lojon chego. Lojon chetande, sangi ngaso laviare. Inaya, susu kale jamke to jabure, susu jabure mato, sangi ngaso chet kale jaya yomare. But in the samlotana, yagamenu.
Just like the doctors, like the very expert doctor. So with all his knowledge, he sees the patient and says, "Oh, your disease is like that. So you have to take this medicine. You have to go to undergo this treatment, so forth." So the doctor is showing the path, is showing the way how to become, how to be healed by that disease to the patient. But if the patient doesn't take the medicine, don't go under the treatment, so forth, of course the patient will not be healed. Likewise. For example, the Buddhic, the person who has the Buddhic mind in the continuous, so one Buddha, so has all the knowledge, and so has the skill also to teach, to show to everyone who wishes to listen his advices in order for them to get rid of the suffering in their own continuum if they practice, just like you said. Like it's not just because you wish to see everyone out of suffering that everyone will become completely free of suffering in that moment. It's not like that. This is a proper fake expectation, like it's unrealistic expectation. It's true, but the point is, to be a Buddha means to be able to teach the proper path in order to help others to get rid of their suffering caused by themselves. So the suffering that everyone undergoes is out of one's own causes, one's own bad actions and so forth. Good, but how to get rid of this suffering? So a person who is already skilled, expert, can show how to get rid of this. But the person in order to get rid of the suffering, just like everyone else here, so the person out of the advice heard has to practice, and after practicing, we'll get rid of the suffering.
Yeah, that's so. Karza, the Rondo Susukta, Nimarele, so Nijigum, the Kavlia, Tambo, Rajanika, Devandola, Dungermanova, Chiba Yimba. The Sonza, Taji, Sozo, la Dunger, me, Kaza, Deva go, the Dunger, Mogo, Anajin, Simjanda Sam, the Chiba, the Resa. Or they are Dunger to Soyimba in a two, Mambo Latin Yungur, the Sud, Rana Sozo, Samlo Lopam, Samlo Mishipa, to Latin Yungur, the Sonza, that is in a Mebazo, Sozo Gelate Mebas will be share up the Niberte, Kiko do Sambi, but didn't Katina, Sozo Tisora Kavla Niberta, Nimare, Sozo Kati, Komna, it is a Gomdena. And the Jimangazo Chicken Zombie Kavla and the Gomian, some of the Yugu do Zano, or the Liangazo, Tiva Yuna, Yawar.
So now that we are going, you're all coming here to these classes, and we are reflecting on these topics these days. And so if you can, as much as you can in daily basis, to recollect again and again the truth of the reality of, just like me, I don't want to suffer, and I want just to be happy. Likewise, everyone else, all sentient beings, they are the same. We are exactly the same in the sense of no one want any unpleasant sensation or going under unpleasant situations, and just want to be happy. So if you can again and again recollect this reality, this truth, and also if you can cultivate again and again, keep in mind that again and again that the truth of so may all of this essential, may everyone, just like me, everyone be able to be completely free of this suffering, of these unpleasant sensations, and the causes of these unpleasant sensations, which are, even though the problems come from many causes and conditions, but the most important cause is underneath our own mental continuum, that is our misunderstanding or wrong perception of the things. And so may all sentient beings like me also get rid of all suffering and the causes, which is this bad mind or this misunderstanding, and may all of us, all sentient beings, including myself, be able to give rise to this understanding, this wisdom, this understanding of the ultimate nature of reality. And then all of us can become completely free of suffering and pervaded by happiness. And so if you can go in daily basis, cultivate this mind and think again and again, and do all the actions in daily basis with this into mind, I think it's going to be good. And so what I request you now is to from now to the next class, if you can try to recollect these under your actions, daily actions, and then after the next class, then maybe we exchange your experiences and also questions. Okay.
Only Gondon, they were so only the water, Magi Bonnet, Gavanya Bame, only Gondon, you are going to give one Sadanam beyond the Roger, Changi Kumbo to show. Thank you. Donna Chimbochini, Dandela Pevatella, Tujicha, Damatin Taki. Combat Chujure, Taki, Womindu, Desire, Chomason, Gonda.
So today we came to the end of this class, and I really, from the deep of my heart, I want to thank all of you, because you're so interested. You're so interested in this virtuous topic, and this really filled my heart. And I really wished you a very good week and so forth. And even though, like we are in this very cozy and completely tight room here, you didn't get a proper place to sit, even though today we have delicious food here. But yes, thank you for coming. Yeah, and today is Sunday 10th. The next Sunday is 17th, and so we will not be able to do this class, okay, because we just have other thing to do. But then in two Sundays we join together here again, okay?
Zanyamala conscience.
Yes, those that are leaving those who are so next Sunday you enjoy. Yes, you're leaving. So next Sunday you please enjoy happily your Sunday, your holiday. And those who are leaving, have a good trip. But please join us online also if you want. Okay. Do you have the record of the teachings? Yes, we have record of the teachings of every teachings that we have here with English translation. When you remember to record, when we are able to upload and everything, when all the causes and conditions are coming together, and then we, and then our most skillful person here uploads in our YouTube and Facebook and everything. So usually we send in WhatsApp. Okay. Yes. So let's do collect together picture together. Just like always. Thank you for everyone. And you in Chile, Brazil, and what else? Andrea, where are you? Joyce, I think, is India. Marin is in India. Andrea is in India. See you next 2 weeks. Maria Lucia, bye. Good morning.
Thank you.
Geshe.
Yeah, that's some.
Yeah, let's take picture together.
Thank you.
Everyone here together.
Sure.
Yeah. All of you also, you are in the picture. Let's take a picture with all of you. Very organized.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
3 minutes to prepare this.
Oh, the Tsering cover.
Don't hide.
While Pedro is preparing everyone, so just for you to know, she did piece of my group here, and so we always accept like volunteers and help and so forth, like either to edit videos, to upload in internet, or to anything, and to teach English.
Okay, you have 10 seconds to
Okay, so if anyone wants to
9
help.
seconds.
Give me cheese.
Yes, it's mine. People at home also is mine. Again and again.
One more.
Yeah, one more. Bodhicitta. Okay. And so who didn't take this? What's the name of this in English?
Cords.
Cords or strings, protection strings. Let's Pakistanis Dalai Lama. So Perry took for us. Someone? Yes. Yes. To tie it in.
Thank you, Anila and Geshe. Bye.
Thank you.
I don't need it now. Wait. You're going to dinner anyways, no?
What? To bring you to dinner? Okay, yes. I would wind it the other way around.
Sometimes
Huh?
Sometimes
Vipassana.
Sometimes
Yeah. This is better.
There are multiple meanings. What is
About the mind?
The monkey's coming back.
Wherever is pain, body pain, anywhere that is pain is rheumatism.
Can I also please? Ah, bene. Ciao Paola.
Oh, you're still live?
Yes.
Yeah.